My name is Lucas Bennett, 36 years old, and until 6 weeks ago, I was the unsung hero of Bennett Designs, my parents' architectural firm in Sydney, Australia. For 14 years, I poured my soul into transforming their modest drafting business into a powerhouse of innovative design, securing multi-million-dollar contracts and building structures that define the city skyline. Yet, in the Bennett family, I lived in the shadow of my younger brother, Noah, the golden boy who could do no wrong. Growing up in a sunlit Sydney suburb, our family's hierarchy was etched into every moment. My parents, James and Helen Bennett, started Bennett Designs in their garage, sketching plans between cups of tea. By the time I was born, they'd built a respected firm known for bold residential and commercial projects across New South Wales. My older sister, Olivia, 5 years my senior, carved her own path in law, leaving Noah and me tethered to the family legacy. Noah, 2 years younger, was a family star, blonde, charming, with a smile that disarmed everyone. When he won a school debate championship at 15, our parents hosted a lavish garden party, inviting half the neighborhood. When I won a national architectural design competition in high school, my mother's response was distracted, "That's nice, Lucas," before asking Noah about his cricket practice. The favoritism wasn't subtle. Noah's B-average report cards were framed as untapped potential, while my straight A's earned a quick nod over breakfast. At 14, I started sneaking into the firm's office on weekends, mesmerized by the architect's precision and the hum of construction sites. I'd sketch in the margins of discarded blueprints, learning from grizzled drafters who humored the boss's kid. My father, a visionary but scatterbrained designer, let me tag along but warned, "Stay out of the way, Lucas." Noah's rare office visits, by contrast, were events. Staff fawned over his charm, and my parents beamed as if he'd drawn the plans himself. University widened the gap. I studied architectural engineering at the University of Sydney, working nights at Bennett Designs to pay my tuition. Noah attended a prestigious private college in Brisbane, fully funded by our parents, majoring in business with a knack for networking. His internships at flashy firms, secured through our parent connections, were hailed as triumphs, while my 4.0 GPA and hands-on projects were barely acknowledged. I didn't resent Noah's charm. I envied the ease with which he claimed the spotlight. But architecture was my calling. The thrill of turning a sketch into steel and glass, the puzzle of balancing aesthetics with physics, it fueled me. When I graduated, I turned down offers from top firms in Melbourne and Perth to join Bennett Designs. It was my blood, my legacy, and I believed I could make it soar. My first day at Bennett Designs was a quiet letdown. My father handed me a chaotic stack of project files and pointed to a desk wedged beside a noisy printer. "Sort these out," he said, already halfway out the door. Those files became my life for 14 years, untangling messes, building systems, and proving my worth in a company that barely saw me. Within a year, I overhauled our outdated project management software, slashing design errors by 40% and saving thousands in revisions. My father's only comment was, "Good, now we can chase bigger clients." I didn't falter. I took on complex projects, negotiated with developers, and worked 70-hour weeks, often sketching late into the night while the office stood silent. My mother mentioned my efforts at family dinners, but her praise was fleeting, quickly eclipsed by Noah's latest escapade, a startup pitch or a networking event he'd attended. Noah, meanwhile, flitted through jobs of marketing agencies and tech startups, none lasting more than 18 months. His office visits were theatrical. He'd breeze in, coffee in hand, charming the staff with anecdotes before vanishing. He'd claim credit for my initiatives, saying, "I suggested something like that last year when I introduced cloud-based design tools or landed a major client." My parents ate it up, blind to his disinterest in architecture. I found allies in the trenches. Claire Dawson, our lead structural engineer, became a mentor after I spent a weekend fixing a critical flaw she'd spotted in a high-rise design. Vikram Singh, our financial controller, partnered with me to streamline budgeting, cutting material costs by 20%. Mia Tran, a brilliant junior architect, joined in my 5th year, her creative designs amplifying my strategic vision. Together, We secured a landmark contract with Pinnacle Developments, a titan in Sydney's real estate scene, for a $50 million mixed-use tower that put Bennett Designs on a national stage. By my 12th year, the firm had tripled its revenue, grown to 45 employees, and won 4 National Design Awards. I was running daily operations, with my father rubber-stamping decisions from his Queensland beach house. Yet, the spotlight stayed on Noah. He began dropping by more often, posting about family legacy on Instagram and schmoozing clients. I noticed him lingering at meetings, asking superficial questions about projects he barely understood. My gut whispered warnings, but I was too buried in our latest project, a sustainable civic center, to heed them. The blow came at a family barbecue under the eucalyptus trees in my parents' sprawling backyard. My father, bronzed from a golf retreat, clinked his glass. "Helen and I are retiring," he declared, grinning. "After 30 years, it's time to pass the torch. Noah will take over as CEO next month." The words felt like a physical strike. Noah, who couldn't tell a load-bearing wall from partition, was being handed the company I'd built. Olivia, now a barrister, shot me a sympathetic glance but stayed silent. I forced a smile, my heart pounding. Later, in my father's oak panel study, I confronted him. "I've run this company for years," I said, keeping my voice even. "Noah's never managed a project. Why him?" My mother's eyes softened with pity. "Lucas, Noah has a business degree. He's got the vision to take us international." My father nodded. "You're essential, Lucas, but Noah's the leader we need." They didn't mention Noah's trail of failed jobs or the whispers of his mounting debts, which I'd overheard during a tense family call. Once again, Noah's needs trumped my sacrifices. The next 4 weeks were agonizing. I documented every process, client protocols, design workflows, supplier contracts, and trained Noah, who dismissed my systems as outdated. He held secretive meetings with Apex Creations, our fiercest competitor, brushing them off as industry chats. I sensed a storm brewing, so I backed up critical files to a personal drive and emailed key clients my personal contact details, framing it as a professional courtesy. Noah's first day as CEO set the tone. He arrived 30 minutes late to a staff meeting, dressed in a sleek suit more suited to a corporate merger than an architectural firm. His speech was a cascade of jargon, disruptive synergy, agile frameworks, but lacked any grasp of our work. Employees exchanged uneasy glances. At 3:17 p.m., his assistant, a new hire I didn't know, summoned me to his office. "Lucas," Noah said, lounging in my father's leather chair, "your role's redundant. We're pivoting to a bold new vision, and you don't fit." I stared, disbelief rooting me to the spot. "Redundant? I built every system this company runs on." He smirked, tossing a folder across the desk. "You documented it all. Mate, we're set. Here's your severance. 3 months' pay. Security's waiting." A security guard escorted me past stunned colleagues. Claire whispered, "This is madness." Vikram's jaw clenched with anger. Mia's eyes glistened with tears. I packed a photo of our Pinnacle team, a worn sketchbook, and my laptop, leaving company files untouched. In the car park, I sat in my car, rage and betrayal crashing over me like a tidal wave. But as I drove away, a cold resolve settled in. Noah had made a fatal mistake, and I was going to make him regret it. I allowed myself 1 day to grieve, 24 hours to feel the sting of betrayal, the weight of 14 years dismissed with a smirk. Then I transformed my apartment into a command center. A whiteboard dominated my living room, mapping Bennett Design's operations, clients, and vulnerabilities. My dining table vanished under stacks of contracts, industry reports, and legal notes. The severance agreement sat unsigned, a taunting reminder of Noah's arrogance. I dug into the company's bylaws, which I'd revised 3 years earlier during a restructuring. A critical clause required unanimous board approval for major asset sales for 2 years post-leadership change. As a 15% shareholder and board member, my termination didn't strip those roles. I had leverage Noah didn't anticipate. My parents held 70%, with Noah and me at 15% each, a tax strategy they'd implemented years ago. On day 2, Claire called, Her voice hushed from her car in the office car park. Lucas, Noah's meeting with Apex Creations. He's planning to sell our design patents in the George Street project for a fraction of their worth. Vikram sent a flash drive via courier, loaded with emails proving Noah's negotiations with Apex began months before our parents' retirement. Mia reported Noah firing 2 senior architects and botching client meetings with his dismissive attitude. He told Pinnacle their timeline concerns were overblown, she said. They're furious. I met our family lawyer, Sophie Reynolds, at a discreet cafe in Bondi. Over flat whites, she reviewed the bylaws. Noah's actions could be deemed illegal, she said, her eyes sharp. Selling assets without board approval violates the operating agreement. You've got grounds to challenge him. She also confirmed my shareholder status gave me significant rights. I began contacting key clients, framing it as gratitude for past partnerships and offering consultation services. Pinnacle CEO Daniel Walsh replied, "Your brother's a disaster. Our project's at risk with his amateur approach." I didn't push, but I ensured they knew I was available. Meanwhile, I set up a consulting LLC, Bennett Solutions, with a sleek website showcasing my expertise without mentioning Bennett Designs. It was both a fallback and a strategic front. On day 15, I launched my counteroffensive with a calculated meeting at a private club in Sydney's CBD. I invited representatives from our top projects, Pinnacle Towers, Harborfront Residences, and the NSW Civic Center, under the guise of discussing industry trends. Over lunch, they vented about Noah's mismanagement, missed deadlines, ignored specifications, and condescending emails. "He doesn't even understand our structural requirements," said Harborfront's project lead, Emily Chun. By the end, all 3 sent formal letters to Bennett Designs, pausing their contracts pending a leadership review. The impact was seismic. The holds froze $18 million in payments, strangling the firm, gripping the firm's cash flow. Noah bombarded my phone with voicemails, his tone shifting from smug to desperate. "Lucas, this is petty. Call me back, or you'll regret it." I ignored him, focusing on my next move. I met with Westpac Bank, our primary lender, at their Sydney headquarters. The loan officer, Rachel Evans, had worked with me for a decade. "We're concerned about Noah's financial reports," she said. "They're inconsistent and project updates are a mess." I shared my abrupt termination and hinted at leadership instability without breaching ethics. Within 48 hours, Westpac froze our $10 million credit line, citing management concerns. Suppliers, loyal to me after years of fair negotiations, began demanding upfront payments. Noah couldn't cover payroll or material costs. 2 project sites ground to a halt, and Apex Creations grew cagey about their deal, sensing the firm's collapse. On day 20, my father called, his voice a mix of anger and panic. "Lucas, what's happening? Clients are pulling out, the bank's frozen our credit, and suppliers are stonewalling us. Noah says you're orchestrating this." "Did Noah mention he fired me on his first day?" I asked, my tone ice cold. With a security escort, no explanation, just a 3-month severance. Silence stretched across the line. "Check your email. I've sent proof of his secret deal with Apex and the bylaws he's breaking." My mother's voice broke in, shaky. "We didn't know. Lucas. He said you agreed to step back." I replied, "You didn't bother to ask me. Meet me as board members. Bring Sophie." The emergency board meeting took place in Bennett Design's glass-walled conference room, the Sydney skyline looming beyond. My parents looked haggard, their confidence shaken. Sophie Reynolds sat with a stack of legal documents. Noah arrived 15 minutes late, flanked by a jittery lawyer, his bravado crumbling when he saw me. The receptionist, Maria, who'd known me since I was a teenager, whispered, "The staff's rooting for you, Lucas." My father opened the meeting, his voice heavy. "We're here to address the firm's crisis, project holds, credit freezes, and operational chaos." Noah jumped in, blaming market headwinds and uncooperative staff. Vikram presented stark financials, a 40% revenue drop in 3 weeks, with cash reserves too low for next month's payroll. Rachel from Westpac outlined conditions for reinstating credit, including significant leadership changes. I stood, calm and prepared. This crisis stems from 3 failures. I said, distributing a dossier. First, client alienation through incompetent communication. Second, reckless financial mismanagement and supplier distrust. Third, illegal negotiations with Apex Creations to sell assets without board approval. I handed out emails proving Noah's deal, dated months before the retirement announcement. Noah's face reddened. This is Lucas's vendetta. He's jealous because I'm leading the company into the future. My father's eyes narrowed. Did you negotiate with Apex without board approval, Noah? Noah faltered. It was a strategic move for growth. My mother pressed, without telling us? The bank representative interjected. We cannot support Bennett Designs under current management. The vote of no confidence was swift, my parents and I against Noah. He stood, knocking over his chair. You're all blind. I had offers from global firms, and I came to save this sinking ship. He stormed out, his lawyer scrambling behind. That evening, a harborfront project faced a structural emergency. Faulty foundation supports risked a 6-month delay. I led an all-night response with Claire and Mia, stabilizing the site by dawn. Daniel Walsh shook my hand. You're why we chose Bennett. Lucas. In the conference room the next day, my parents offered me the CEO role. I held up a hand. Not as an employee. I want 51% ownership, with you retaining 44% and Olivia 5%. Noah's out, board and shares. They exchanged glances, the weight of their misjudgment clear. We agree, my father said quietly. The board vote was unanimous, and Noah settled an NDA and no stake after Sophie outlined potential legal consequences for his actions. As CEO and majority owner, I rebuilt Bennett Designs. We completed Pinnacle Towers ahead of schedule, earning a bonus and renewed trust. Harborfront and NSW projects resumed with enhanced designs. New clients flocked to us, drawn by our resilience. Claire became operations director, Vikram CFO, and Mia design director. We launched a mentorship program to champion overlooked talent, a nod to my own journey. Counseling sessions with my parents were raw but healing. We thought Noah needed our support. My mother confessed, tears falling. We didn't see how capable you were. My father added, we rewarded his flash over your substance. We're sorry. It wasn't a fix, but it was a start. Noah relocated to Adelaide. His contact with us sparse, his golden pedestal shattered. A year later, Bennett Design stood taller than ever. At the opening of our latest project, a sustainable cultural center glowing under Sydney stars, our revenue was up 45%, our team 60 strong, and our reputation unmatched. We'd won 5 industry awards, including one for innovation. Standing with Claire, Vikram, and Mia, I felt not just vindication but purpose. The personal journey was messy. Therapy with my parents uncovered decades of favoritism, but also built a new respect. Olivia, always distant, became an ally, consulting on our legal structure. Noah's absence left a void, but I held no malice, only clarity that his choices had consequences. I turned the tables not with revenge, but with relentless competence. Being underestimated gave me the space to forge something extraordinary. As I watched the city lights reflect off our newest building, I knew this was my legacy, not just in steel and glass, but in proving that true worth shines brightest when no one's watching.